Welcome to the TriMetric Roadmap, powered by Business Freedom Advisors, the podcast for business owners who want to grow their business and enjoy their life. Hey, I'm your host, Scott Landis, creator of the TriMetric tracking system and author of Balancing Act. If you're tired of chasing success at the expense of your health, your marriage, or your peace of mind, you're in the right place. On this show, we help you track what really matters: business health, life quality, and leadership performance, all in one simple, powerful system. Because when those get out of sync, everything else starts to break down. Our goal here is to help you align it all so you can lead with clarity, scale with purpose, and finally enjoy the freedom you've been working so hard to create. And if it feels like no one's ever shown you how to pull that off, this podcast might just be the missing link you've been quietly searching for. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the TriMetric Roadmap podcast, sponsored by Business Freedom Advisors. I'm Scott Landis, and this is Jeff Jacob. And today we are continuing our series on executive performance, one part of the TriMetric. Executive performance. Last week, we kind of had an overview of the 7 domains of executive performance. And today we're going to go into one of the 7. We're going to start with vision and strategic thinking, which is really the founder's first job or the business owner's first job, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. Yeah, we were just talking with a client yesterday, or a partner yesterday, who's talking about the success he's had has come from strategically implemented vision, and he's looking for that with this current company that he's building up. So, yeah, it actually is hugely foundationally important.
One of the things I want to explore, I guess, throughout this series is what it looks like when it's healthy, and maybe contrast that with what sometimes we see when it's not so healthy.
Yeah.
Where does that take you?
Well, people misunderstand vision and mission, and there's different definitions for it. Everybody has their own definition of what vision and mission are, and they get lumped together too much, in my opinion. And they are two very distinct things. And let's go into mission just quickly, and we can do a little overview of that. But mission really is about starting with your why. What is it that drives you? What's the foundational force for your life or your company? And that never really changes, or rarely changes. Your mission is your mission, and that keeps going. Your vision is different. Your vision is a preferred future that you are leading the organization or people into. And a lot of this is really geared towards team building and team development. And your vision is really casting a preferred future and then strategically implementing a plan that gets you there.
Okay. So different people think about those two things differently, and that's probably okay. But what I hear you saying is that the mission, it never changes. Is that right?
Rarely, if ever. Yeah. Your
Okay.
mission is the driving force. One of my mentors once told me, there's plenty of things, Jeff, that you would die for, but what would you actually live for? What drives you to wake up in the morning? What drives you to go to work and accomplish these goals? And as founders, that has to be the foundation of your company. And I believe that, the original, in the Garden of Eden, that God said to go and garden. That was the initial first command he gave Adam and Eve, was to go garden, which is taking the creation that's there and reorganizing it for human flourishing. And if as organizations we don't have a, a vision or a mission of really gardening and taking what's there, reorganizing it to help people, help society, then it doesn't matter. Then it's not going to be something that's going to drive us to move forward, and it's not going to be something that's going to take a lot of, or hold a lot of traction in society, and it's going to be harder to sell. It's like, everything falls from that. And so, really having that why of what is it that drives this organization forward? Why am I dedicated to it? Why am I trying to build this? It all starts with your why, and that's what leads into your mission. Does that make sense?
100%. I would always I we might be a little different in the order. So I just want to explore that. And like I said, different strategic planners think of it in different ways. I've read them all. I've read all the books, and they all have different definitions. So at the end of the day,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter so much because as long as you have all the elements there, I think it's fine. But I would put the why, that like the way you just said it, the why or the purpose of the organization or the strategic planning is the foundation that drives the mission. And I think that's what I just heard you say. The mission comes out of the why. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And everybody has different definitions. That's why I'm saying this is the definition of those words that I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
through today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 And then okay, so if sounds like we're totally on the same page. Purpose, mission comes out of purpose. And then I think I heard you say vision comes out of mission. Or is that
Well,
not the right way of thinking about it?
I think the mission does inform the vision, but the
Okay.
vision has to be it's not necessarily coming out of it, but I guess you could say that
Hmm.
you're not going to have a vision that is completely separate from your mission. That just doesn't make sense. So in a way it
Right.
does come out of it, but the vision is a preferred future that you want to lead people into. And so you can have various different visions. And one thing that I always do
Mm.
is we at least once a year, if not twice a year, I take a retreat, and it's my wife and I started doing this. It was a prayer and planning retreat for our family, and we would look at our goals. We would look at what we feel like is on our hearts to accomplish that year, and make strategic plans to go forward with it. And we'd take a couple days. We'd go to some place inspiring to us, whether it was just down the freeway into the next town, or going to renting a place in Manhattan. And we would have we used post-it notes and journals, and we would planning journals and not feelings journals. I don't do that, but and then and put post-it notes and just talk through it, and take breaks to go have dinner, but then just kind of stay in our room and
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
put it all over the windows.
Yeah.
And that transitioned
Real.
to what I do for organizations too.
Yeah. Okay. I want you to keep going with that. I just want to interject. Another great place to go. I mean, you could go down the road. For us, it's like Scottsdale is a great place to go. You said Manhattan. I just want to throw out there that Roatan is on my radar, and I would just love to do a retreat in Roatan. I mean, maybe that's something. Maybe that's something that is in our future. Uh, I don't know. Just saying. So if you're listening and you never heard of Roatan, Google it. It's awesome. And let's talk later about going to Roatan for a CEO retreat, maybe with our spouse or family. All right, back to you, Jeff.
Absolutely. I mean, the Caribbean is an inspiring place. It's absolutely. In previous roles I've had, just the life and the of Manhattan has been inspiring. But usually something with sun, it can be more inspiring for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the idea of Roatan. Let's do that. Um, so that whole idea of a planning retreat turned into what I do with organizations
Mm,
too. And taking whoever, for me, the strategic people in our family was my wife and I. When you
mhm,
transition that to an organization, it's who are the strategic people, the key people that you want to brainstorm with and really have be on the same page, and then have a plan going into that time. And we can talk about how you create that plan and what the preferred future is and everything, the strategic implementation of that. But having those key people together and getting on the same page. And the way you do that is by drawing people into the creation of it. Of course, you lead that conversation, but you draw the team into at least helping them feel like they're creating. Ideally, they are helping to sharpen what that vision is. But you always have to make sure it's being steered the right way.
yeah, 100%. It's interesting. So it sounds like you you kind of had your development of of a strategic planning process in your family, in your couple, in your marriage, between you and your wife, and then applied that into organizations you worked with. I did the opposite. I learned in business first, and then I was like, this would be really great for my marriage and for my household. And regardless, one thing that I learned over, a couple decades of working in family, of course, being married, raising kids, but also working in businesses, is there's so many similarities in when you think about an organization. I mean, you come from the nonprofit world. All these organizations, whether it be a family, a nonprofit, or a business, the organization is often alike a family, where you have key leaders that are responsible for the vision and planning it out. You have in an organization, a business, you usually have employees, and I've seen this paralleled so many times, like dealing with some employee stuff. And we'll talk about this on other parts of executive performance for other episodes in this series. But dealing with employees can be a lot like dealing with kids. I've seen so many parallels, and like they're still people, they're still humans, and they still see you as as a leader or an authority in their life and certainly in their work. And they're humans, and they have needs, and they need to be validated, and they need to be seen. Same thing happens with your kids at home or your spouse at home. So I guess I'll just put a pin in that for now, but for future episodes we can cover that more. But yeah, regardless of the organization, strategic planning and vision, strategic thinking around a vision and a mission is so critical.
Right, absolutely. And it started for me with organizations too, but my process got sharpened through implementing it with my wife, because my wife and I were
Gotcha.
partners in business together, and so
Mm-hmm.
we would implement that plan, and the process just got sharpened that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're moving into what vision is, and
Mm-hmm.
the Bible says where there is no vision, the people will perish. Vision is hugely important. Vision is what takes employees from doing a job and just showing up for a paycheck to actually being a part of something, being a part of what can feel like a movement, or at least
Mm.
achieving some goal that they can get fired up about and really give themselves to, whether it's employees, team members, or even just yourself. And so what vision really is a preferred future. And there's a picture in my head that a different mentor once gave me, is that you're standing on a hillside with a valley under you. So you can see down the hill and up. And growing up in Oregon, this is an easy picture for me to have.
Yeah.
Arizona, it's a little more difficult. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you're
Where
on
are
a
these
hilltop.
mountains?
Yeah, exactly. So you're on a hilltop, and so you can see this valley that's going down below you. And then up on the hills on the other side is where that glowing light of this preferred future is. You can picture
Mm.
it, you can look, see
Mm-hmm.
what that looks like on the other side. And then you can look down, and we have to get back to how do you create that future? We can go through some practical steps. How do you actually give legs to that preferred future and bring it to some reality? But then you look down this path, and there's a jungle path there, and you can kind of view out. You can't see everything, but you kind of see, here's where the dangers are, here's where the pitfalls are. It's likely that we're going to hit some of these issues around here. And you can kind of look at this path and plan out as you're standing on the hillside, ready to go on this adventure. You can kind of plan out, what are the tools I need to be able to get through this journey? What are the team members I need to bring with me? And create a team and a box and a backpack of tools to be able to get through this jungle path to be able to get to that preferred future. And that's where the strategic planning happens. And next we can jump into the practicalities of that, but that's
Yeah.
the
I
general
mean,
idea of vision.
yeah, I love this picture, and also growing up in Oregon. So I'm like picturing, okay, I'm standing, we're at the peak of Mount Hood, and we're looking west, and we can see this gigantic valley, the Willamette Valley, and on the other side is is the coastal range, and I see the sun just over the horizon of the coastal range, and that's the what did you call it? The other
Preferred
side of it,
future?
the preferred future. I can see it glowing in the sunset at the coastal range. But then between where I want to go at the glowing sunset of the coastal range and where I'm at in the Cascade range is this huge Willamette Valley. I see forest, I see rivers, I see rugged terrain, and then I can put together um, the tools and the team I'm going to need to make this journey. And question for you. So that's the vision. Like I can see, hey, everybody that wants to join me, I see where we're going, and I'm going over there. Who wants to join me? We're going over there. Who's going to be on this bus with me? We're get the right people on the bus and let's go. We're pointing it that direction. Is the mission then that piece of like our mission right now is we're going from here to there, and then the strategic plan is the process that we're going to take to get from to accomplish this mission. Is that fit into the narrative?
Maybe. I think
I
of
can
it, you and
see
I
by
think
your
about this
face
a
you're
little
like
differently.
not so much.
Well, uh, kind of. Let's use practical examples. So I
Mhm.
think that idea that you're talking about is the same picture. The picture I've had in my mind is more simple. It's as you're standing in West Lynn looking over at Oregon City
Mm,
across the Willamette. There's
okay.
that valley, and you can see in detail. Not full detail because there's a tree
Hmm.
canopy, but you can really see. Um, that's what I've used, but it's the same basic idea. Uh, but let's use practical examples. Let's use us starting Business Freedom Advisors, or BFA is what we call it
Hmm.
for short. And so when we were first starting out BFA, the mission for both of us was helping people find freedom. And that happens in their personal lives, in their leadership, in their business. And they can find freedom to be able to make different decisions with, do I want to cash flow this company? Do I want to sell it? What kind of life do I want to live? What kind of family life do I want? But also freedom to be themselves and to not be just drowning in the things that they're not gifted at, but be able to actually provide their necessary contribution to their organization, to their family, to their own personal life. Um, the freedom is the mission for us.
Hmm.
And we started off with that, and we were completely aligned in that way. That would be our mission. That hasn't changed. We named the company after it. That is it.
Hmm.
Now, as we were first starting out, our preferred future was being able to do that for enough clients that creates enough income for us to just be okay. To be able
Hmm.
to, so therefore we could focus on it full time and really
Hmm.
be able to make as much difference as possible.
Hmm.
That was the first vision, was being able to provide enough so that we could just focus on this. And then as you go forward, there's different visions that come into play. What's the next preferred future? What's the next preferred future? It's being able, there could be a preferred future of being able to provide jobs for other people. There could be a preferred future of being able to manage more more elements of an organization for clients so that there's more things that we can take off their plate to really free them up. It's being an all-encompassing company to be able to help them find more full freedom. There's different visions along the way that could be
Hmm.
preferred future. It could be as simple as a revenue goal. It doesn't matter what the vision is. The more compelling, the easier it is to use it to lead a team.
Hmm.
But it kind of doesn't matter. And it's different for every organization, it's different for every team. And that's where some of the art in visioneering comes into play is,
Hmm.
and Andy Stanley has a great book on visioneering. Pretty sure it's Andy Stanley. But it's different for every organization, every person, and that's where some of the art comes in, is really creating the vision that truly works for that founder, that truly, along with their organization, along with their mission, and really who they are as a person, and how are we going to explain this or present it to the team in a way that truly drives them forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your
Yeah.
question about that?
Yeah. It as we often do, and we can talk for hours, probably boring everyone in the car with us. But if it was just you and me in the car, we could talk for hours on a road trip about small things. But as usual, you're getting me to think about things in a different way, challenging my thinking. I'm always open to challenging my own assumptions. But I mean, I've been teaching what I call the alignment operating system for years. It's in this book, The Balancing Act, getbalancingact.com. And I developed the strategic planning system I call an alignment operating system, and it's very structured in what comes first and what comes out of what. And so that's my assumption that it's being challenged right now. And I've always felt like at the end of the day, because I've heard so many people define mission and vision, and yeah, usually those two things in different ways, and sometimes they get swapped, and it just doesn't matter at the end of the day what you want to label it, as long as you've got the elements. That's what's most important. But here's what is occurring to me as I'm having this conversation with you is I've never thought about it this way before, and I don't know if this is what you mean, but I almost think the reason that there's so many like thought leaders and experts that depending on who you're talking about, they in my mind they switch them, but it's almost like they're so close together. It's like your left hand and your right hand coming together, and then it's like the mission and the vision are inseparable if you get it right. The mission, I would articulate this way: whatever you vision, your mission is what you use to accomplish, or what you articulate to accomplish that vision. So, and if you switch them, that's fine. But as long as they're both there, and you can't really decouple them. They have to be kind of married, the vision and the mission. And maybe that's the very reason why they can be, articulated in different ways, or it sounds like somebody's talking about the same thing sometimes. Maybe that's it. It's just they are two parts of, they're like yin and yang. Really at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which is which, as long as you have both and you articulate them well. I've never even thought about that before, but that's a really cool thought occurring to me now.
I agree. They have to go together. And I have to say, The Balancing Act is a great book, but I've had a lot of mentors, a lot of coaches. I've never seen someone better at helping people define their vision and mission as you, Scott. It's
Wow.
before we were even partnering together. I've been a part of multiple things you've done, and you've been a part of multiple things I've done too. But we had a fun relationship for years. But I've never seen somebody do it as well as you with helping people really find what their vision and mission are. Uh, and so, but separate, to go back on what you were saying, they absolutely have to be uh, entwined together.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's where a lot of vision can go off the rails, is when it's not aligned with your mission, because the mission really is like the engine driving the truck. The mission never changes. It's always the driving force. It's the engine that's going to get the truck moving and to a different location. And then the vision is more of the truck that has to be, they have to go together. But if they're separated, so if you create a vision that is separate from your mission, there's not going to be the driving force to actually accomplish that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, this is, I think we're going to take 2 episodes to get through this part of the executive performance, vision and strategic thinking. So let's wrap it there. And the next time we come back, we will cover like, what are a couple of red flag behaviors that we see all the time with founders we work with, that they could be off with vision and strategic thinking. And we'll get into some simple assessment questions that people can ask themselves to really see if they're on or off track with this, or to get them to the next level of where they want to go with their strategy and their vision. So we'll do that next time. Thanks for listening to the TriMetric Roadmap podcast with me and Jeff here, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the TriMetric Roadmap powered by Business Freedom Advisors. I've been your host, Scott Landis. If you're growing a business but something still feels off, you're not alone. That's exactly why we created the TriMetric quiz. It's not a personality test, it's a powerful diagnostic tool that shows you where you're in alignment and where things may be silently slipping off track across your business, life, and leadership. It only takes a few minutes, and the clarity you'll gain is a game changer. Go to TriMetricQuiz.com to take the quiz now before the cost of staying stuck gets any higher. Until next time, stay focused, stay aligned, and keep building a business that truly supports your life.